You wake up one morning and something feels wrong. Not the usual wrong of another duty shift in the manufactorum or another meal of corpse starch rations. This is different. Your hands move before you tell them to. Your mouth speaks words you didn't choose, and somewhere deep inside your own skull you're screaming. But no sound comes out. You are still alive, still aware, still trapped inside your own body. But you are no longer alone. Something else is in there with you now. Something ancient and hungry and utterly merciless. And the worst part, the part that makes this nightmare truly eternal, is that you can feel it enjoying your terror. This is demon possession in Warhammer 40K. And what happens next is worse than any death the Imperium could offer. If you're ready to dive into one of the darkest aspects of the 40K universe, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you'll want to be here for what comes next. Because what I'm about to show you will change how you see every possessed character, every demon host, every corrupted soul in this universe. Share this with anyone who thinks they understand true horror in 40K. Because I promise you they don't. Not yet. Chapter 1. The First Touch. The shift bell rings at 4 in the morning, same as it has every morning for the past 7 years. Mara pulls herself from the sleeping rack, her muscles protesting the short rest between shifts. The hab unit she shares with 11 other workers is already emptying. Bodies moving through the darkness with the practiced efficiency of people who've done this too many times to count. No one speaks. There's nothing left to say that hasn't been said 1,000 times before. She pulls on her work coveralls, the fabric stiff with dried sweat and machine oil, and joins the silent procession toward the manufactorum floor. The air in the factory tastes like metal and chemicals. It always has. Mara doesn't even notice it anymore. She takes her position at the assembly line, her hands finding their rhythm before her brain fully wakes up. Piece in, piece out. Check the seal. Move to the next. Piece in, piece out. Check the seal. Move to the next. The motions are automatic now, carved so deep into her muscle memory that she could probably do this in her sleep. Maybe she is sleeping. The line between waking and dreaming has gotten blurry lately. Everything has gotten blurry. She's so tired, not the normal tired that comes from 16-hour shifts and 4 hours of restless sleep. This is something deeper, something that sits in her bones and makes every movement feel like pushing through mud. She told the med tech about it last week, but he just shrugged and gave her a stim shot that made her hands shake for the rest of the shift. Everyone is tired here. Being tired is normal. Being tired is just part of being alive. The morning prayer comes over the Vox system at 600 hours, the chaplain's voice crackling through ancient speakers. Mara mouths the words without thinking, her hands never stopping their work. The Emperor protects, the Emperor provides. Through toil we serve, through service we are redeemed. She said these words so many times they don't mean anything anymore. They're just sounds. Just noise to fill the silence between the grinding of machines and the hiss of pneumatic presses. That's when she feels it, just for a second. Like someone ran a finger down the inside of her spine. She stops moving, her hands frozen over the assembly line. The piece she was holding falls, bouncing off the conveyor with a metallic clang that sounds too loud in her ears. The worker next to her shoots her a look, irritated that she's breaking the rhythm. Mara picks up the piece, forces her hands back into motion. Piece in, piece out. Check the seal. Move to the next. But the feeling doesn't go away. Someone is watching her. She can feel eyes on the back of her neck, feel a tension pressing against her like a physical weight. She looks around. No one is watching. Everyone is focused on their own work, their own survival. The overseers are 3 rows down, checking quality on a different line. She's alone in a room with 300 people, and somehow that makes it worse. The feeling intensifies. Not just watching now. Something is reaching for her. She can't see it, can't hear it, but she knows it's there the same way you know when you're standing too close to the edge of something high. That pull in your stomach, that whisper in the back of your mind telling you how easy it would be to just lean forward a little more. Mara shakes her head, trying to clear it. The stim shot must be wearing off. That's all this is. Exhaustion playing tricks on her mind, making her imagine things that aren't there. She focuses harder on the work, letting the repetition drown out everything else. Piece in, piece out. Check the seal. Move to the next. The rhythm is safe. The rhythm is real. As long as she keeps moving, keeps working, she doesn't have to think about the wrongness crawling up her spine like cold fingers. But it doesn't stop. Over the next hour, it gets worse. The feeling of being watched becomes a feeling of being known, like something is reading her thoughts as they form. She tries thinking about nothing. Just the work, just the Emperor's protection. But even those thoughts feel exposed now. Vulnerable. Like she's standing naked in front of something that sees everything she is and finds it amusing. Her hands start to shake. Not the normal shaking from stim shots or exhaustion. This is different. This comes from somewhere deeper. Some primal part of her brain that knows predators exist and that she's being hunted. The lunch break comes at 1200 hours. Mara sits in the workers' canteen, staring at the bowl of nutritional paste that passes for food. Her appetite is gone. Around her, other workers shovel the gray substance into their mouths with mechanical efficiency, refueling for the second half of the shift. Someone is talking about a shipment delay. Someone else is complaining about a broken ventilation unit. The conversations wash over her like meaningless noise. She can't focus on any of it because the feeling is still there. Stronger now, more insistent. It's in the break room with her. She knows this with absolute certainty. Not physically. Not in any way she could point to or prove, but it's here. Closer now than it was on the factory floor. She looks around the room, studying faces, trying to find what's wrong. Everyone looks normal. Tired faces, dead eyes. The universal expression of people who've had the life ground out of them one shift at a time. But one of these faces isn't real. One of these people isn't people anymore. She can feel it. Or maybe it's her. Maybe she's the one who's different now. Maybe she's been different for a while and just didn't notice until this moment. The thought sends ice through her veins. She stands up too quickly, her chair scraping against the metal floor with a sound that makes everyone look at her. Their eyes feel heavy, judging. She mumbles something about needing the bathroom and flees the canteen, walking too fast down corridors she's walked 1,000 times before. Her breath comes quick and shallow. Her heart hammers against her ribs. This is panic. She knows what panic feels like. But this is more than panic. This is recognition. Some deep animal part of her brain screaming that she's in danger, that she needs to run, that she needs to hide. But there's nowhere to go in a manufactorum that houses 50,000 workers and runs 24 hours a day. She finds herself in one of the maintenance corridors, a narrow passage lit by failing lumens that flicker and buzz. It's quieter here, away from the constant noise of the factory floor. She leans against the wall trying to catch her breath, trying to think clearly. What is happening to her? Is she sick? Has she been exposed to something toxic? The manufactorum uses hundreds of different chemicals. Maybe one of them is causing hallucinations. Maybe she needs to report to medical. But the thought of explaining this to the med tech, of trying to put into words this feeling of wrongness makes her want to laugh. They'd think she was having a breakdown. They'd probably send her to reconditioning, and everyone knows people don't come back the same from reconditioning. That's when she hears it. A voice, but not a voice. It doesn't come through her ears. It forms directly in her mind, clear as if someone were standing right next to her, whispering into her thoughts. Mara, it says, and the sound of her own name makes her skin crawl. You've been so tired for so long. I can help you rest. She spins around looking for the source, but the corridor is empty. Just flickering lights and shadows that move wrong, that seem deeper than they should be. Her breath comes in short gasps. This isn't real. This can't be real. People don't hear voices in their heads. That's not how the world works. She squeezes her eyes shut, trying to will this away, trying to wake up from whatever nightmare this has become. But when she opens them again, the corridor is darker. The lights have dimmed, or maybe they haven't changed at all, and it's her perception that's shifting. Reality bending around something that shouldn't exist. You don't have to be afraid, the voice continues, and it sounds kind, gentle, like someone who actually cares about her suffering. I know what it's like to be trapped, to do the same meaningless work day after day, year after year, until you can't remember what it feels like to want anything. You've forgotten how to feel joy, Mara. You've forgotten what pleasure is. Let me remind you. The word pleasure sends a shock through her system, not of fear but of longing so intense it makes her knees weak. When was the last time she felt pleasure? Real pleasure, not just the absence of pain? She can't remember. Years ago, maybe. Before the work consumed everything. Before exhaustion became her permanent state. There was a boy once, wasn't there? Someone who made her laugh. Or did she imagine that? Did she ever laugh? The memories feel distant, unreal, like stories someone told her about a person she used to be. That's right, the voice purrs, responding to thoughts she didn't voice. You've lost so much. Given up so much. All for what? For the Emperor who's never seen your face? For the Imperium that doesn't know you exist? You are nothing to them, Mara, less than nothing. Just another body on an assembly line that will replace you the moment you collapse. But to me, you could be special. To me, you could matter. She should pray. She knows she should pray. Call on the Emperor's protection. Recite the litanies against corruption that everyone learns as children. But the words won't come. Her mind feels sluggish, slow, like trying to think through thick syrup. And underneath the fear, underneath the panic, there's something else growing. Curiosity. The voice is right about one thing. She is nothing to the Imperium. She spent 7 years in this manufactorum and no one has ever noticed her except to yell when she works too slowly. 7 years of her life fed into machines that don't care if she lives or dies. Serving an emperor she's never seen, and who certainly has never thought about her. What would it feel like to matter? To be special? To be seen? The thought horrifies her even as it tempts her. This is corruption. This is how it starts. She knows the stories, the warnings preached in every chapel service. Demons whisper lies, promise things they can't deliver, lead the faithful astray with false hope. She should resist. She should scream. She should alert the overseers that something is terribly wrong. But her throat feels tight, her voice trapped somewhere she can't reach, and the tiredness is so heavy now, pressing down on her like physical weight. It would be so easy to just stop fighting, to let whatever this is take over, to rest, finally rest, for the first time in years. That's all I'm offering, the voice whispers. Rest, peace, an end to the struggle. You don't have to fight anymore, Mara. You've fought so hard for so long, you've earned the right to lay down your burden. Her legs give out. She slides down the wall, sitting on the cold metal floor of the maintenance corridor. Tears run down her face, though she's not sure when she started crying. She's so tired, more tired than any human should be and still be standing. The exhaustion goes deeper than muscle and bone. It's in her soul, this weariness, this desperate need for something, anything, to change. And the voice is offering change, offering rest, offering an escape from the gray monotony that has become her entire existence. No, she whispers, and the word costs her everything. No, the Emperor protects, the Emperor provides. The words are hollow, meaningless sounds, but she clings to them anyway because they're all she has left. Through toil we serve. Through service we are redeemed. The voice laughs and the sound is like silk dragging across broken glass. The Emperor. Always the Emperor. Tell me, Mara, when has he ever protected you? When has he ever provided anything but more work, more suffering, more years ground away in service to his corpse empire? I offer you real protection, real peace. All you have to do is stop fighting. All you have to do is say yes. She's shaking now, her whole body trembling with the effort of resistance, because part of her wants to say yes. Part of her wants to surrender, to let go, to finally stop carrying the weight of her own consciousness. That's the truly terrifying thing. This isn't just an external attack. The demon, because that's what this is, she knows that now, isn't forcing its way in. It's waiting for an invitation, waiting for her to choose this. And somewhere in the exhausted ruins of her mind, she's actually considering it. Think about it, the voice continues, softer now, almost loving. Think about what saying yes could mean. No more pain, no more exhaustion, no more standing at that assembly line until your body breaks. I could make you feel things you've forgotten existed. Pleasure, joy, ecstasy. I could show you colors you've never imagined. Sounds that would make you weep with their beauty. I could give meaning to your existence, purpose beyond mere survival. All the things the Emperor promises but never delivers, I can give you right now. Today. This moment. Just say yes. Mara squeezes her eyes shut. In the darkness behind her eyelids, she can see something forming. Images, sensations, promises made visible. She sees herself transformed. No longer the tired worker in stained coveralls, but something beautiful. Something powerful. She sees herself commanding respect instead of being ignored. She sees herself experiencing pleasure so intense it borders on pain. Sensation so vivid it makes her current existence feel like living in shadows. And most tempting of all, she sees herself mattering, being important. Being seen, the shift bell rings, distant and muffled. Break time is over. She needs to return to the factory floor. If she's late, if she misses even 5 minutes, the overseers will notice. There will be questions. There will be punishment. Probably docking her rations for the next week. She needs to stand up. She needs to go back to work. She needs to keep being Mara the factory worker. Mara the invisible, Mara the meaningless. Or she could stay here. She could say yes. She could become something else entirely. Her mouth opens. She doesn't consciously decide to speak, but words start to form anyway. The voice waits, patient, confident. It knows she's breaking. It knows she's one word away from surrender. The corridor seems to hold its breath. Reality itself pauses, waiting to see which way this moment will fall. I need to get back to work. The words surprise her as much as they seem to surprise the voice. She forces herself to stand, her legs shaking, her whole body screaming that she should stay down, should rest, should surrender. But she stands anyway, one foot in front of the other. Walking back toward the factory floor, back toward the assembly line, back toward the gray monotony that has been her entire life. It's not strength that moves her. It's not faith, not really. It's just inertia. The momentum of 7 years of routine, 7 years of muscle memory, 7 years of doing the same thing every day because that's what you do. You work, you serve, you survive. That's all there is. This isn't over, Mara, the voice says. And now there's an edge to it. A hint of something darker beneath the gentle tones. I'll be here waiting every time you're tired, every time you're alone, every time you wonder if there's something more than this. I'll be right here offering the same choice. And eventually, you'll say yes. They all do. Because I'm offering the only real escape you'll ever have. She reaches the factory floor. The other workers are already back at their stations. The assembly line moving with its usual mechanical precision. No one notices she's late. No one looks at her. She takes her position, her hands falling back into the familiar rhythm. Piece in, piece out. Check the seal. Move to the next. The motions are the same. Everything is the same. Except it's not. Because now she knows something is watching. Now she knows that voice is real. And now she knows that somewhere deep inside part of her wanted to say yes. That knowledge sits in her chest like ice. The demon hasn't possessed her. Not yet, but it's touched her, made contact, established a connection that feels permanent, unbreakable. She can still feel it there, just at the edge of her awareness, like pressure behind her eyes. Waiting. Patient. Confident that time is on its side. Because what does a demon have but time? And what does she have but exhaustion, monotony, and the slow grinding away of her humanity, one shift at a time? The rest of the shift passes in a haze. Mara works mechanically, her body performing the familiar tasks while her mind spirals. She tries to pray, tries to remember the proper litanies, but the words feel slippery, hard to grasp. Every time she thinks she has them, they slide away, replaced by other thoughts. Unwanted thoughts. What if the voice was right? What if the Emperor really doesn't care? What if 7 years of faithful service, of grinding labor, of sacrificing everything for the Imperium means nothing? She looks around at the other workers. Do they hear voices too? Are they fighting their own battles inside their heads, wearing masks of normalcy, while something terrible grows in the darkness of their minds? The woman 3 stations down, the one who always works in complete silence, whose eyes have that distant, empty look. Is that exhaustion or is that something else? The man at the end of the line who sometimes laughs at nothing, who talks to himself when he thinks no one is listening. Is he losing his mind from overwork, or has something already taken root? The thought spreads paranoia through her like poison. Anyone could be compromised. Anyone could be hosting something inhuman behind their eyes. The Imperium teaches that demons are obvious, that corruption announces itself with mutations and madness. But what if that's a lie? What if corruption is subtle, quiet, patient? What if it looks exactly like exhaustion? Exactly like the normal grinding down of the human spirit that happens to everyone who works in places like this. When the shift finally ends at 2000 hours, Mara doesn't go back to the hab unit. She can't face the sleeping racks, can't face lying in darkness while that voice whispers in her mind. Instead, she goes to the chapel. It's a small space carved out of what used to be a storage room, big enough for maybe 30 people if they stand close. The altar is simple, just a carved aquila mounted on the wall above a table where offerings can be left. Most workers leave small things. A few extra ration tokens, a piece of scrap metal shaped into a crude star. Anything to show devotion, to prove they still remember the Emperor even after 16 hours of mind-numbing labor. Chaplain Voreen is there, as he always is during the evening hours. He's an old man bent from decades of standing in manufactorums just like this one, preaching to workers who barely have the energy to listen. His robes are patched and faded but clean. His face carries the deep lines of someone who's seen suffering and tried to ease it with faith. When he sees Mara enter, something in his expression changes. Recognition, maybe, or concern. "Child," he says, and his voice is rough but kind. "You look troubled. Come, sit." Mara sinks onto one of the wooden benches, her body suddenly feeling too heavy to support. The chapel is quiet, peaceful in a way the rest of the manufactorum never is. The constant noise of machines is muffled here, reduced to a distant rumble. She can almost pretend the outside world doesn't exist. Almost. "Chaplain," she says, and her voice cracks. "What happens when prayers don't work anymore? When the words feel empty?" Oren settles beside her with a soft grunt, his old joints protesting the movement. He's silent for a long moment, staring at the aquila on the wall. "Faith is not a shield that never breaks," he finally says. "It's something we build every day, piece by piece, even when it feels pointless. especially when it feels pointless. But what if? She stops, unsure how to phrase what she's feeling without sounding mad. What if something is trying to get in? What if there's a voice that won't stop talking, that keeps offering things, that makes you question everything you thought you believed? The chaplain's expression darkens. He turns to look at her fully, and she sees fear in his eyes. Real fear, the kind that comes from experience. How long has this been happening? Since this morning. It started during prayer time, just a feeling at first like being watched. Then it got worse, then I heard it speak. The words tumble out faster now, relieved to finally tell someone. It knows my name, Chaplain. It knows everything about me, and it's not going away. It's still there, right now, listening to everything we're saying. Vorin's hand trembles as he reaches into his robes and pulls out a small vial of blessed water. This is a spiritual attack, child. The enemy seeks your soul. We must act now before it establishes a stronger hold. He uncorks the vial, dips, his thumb in the water, and traces the sign of the aquila on her forehead. The water is cold against her skin. By the Emperor's will I cast out all darkness. By his eternal light I banish corruption. By his undying protection I shield this faithful servant from the predations of the warp. For a moment, Mara feels something, a warmth spreading from where the water touched her skin, pushing back against the cold pressure that's been building in her mind all day. The voice recedes, becomes distant, muffled. Relief floods through her so intensely she starts to cry. It worked. The blessing worked. She's going to be okay. Then the voice comes back, louder than before, and this time, it's laughing. Did you really think water and words could stop me? How touching, how utterly futile. The chaplain sees her face change. He grabs her shoulders, his grip surprisingly strong for such an old man. Fight it, child. Remember who you are. Remember whose you are. The Emperor protects those who refuse to yield. You must not give in. You must not. She's already given in, the voice says. But this time it doesn't come from inside Mara's head. This time it comes from her mouth. Her lips move without her permission, forming words she doesn't choose. She gave in the moment she doubted. The moment she wondered if her suffering had meaning. That tiny crack was all I needed. Mara tries to scream, tries to force her mouth closed, but her body doesn't obey anymore. She's a passenger now, watching in horror as something else drives. The chaplain stumbles backward, his face going pale. He's reaching for something at his belt, probably some kind of alarm, some way to summon help. But Mara's hand, no. The thing controlling her hand moves faster. It strikes him across the face with inhuman strength, sending the old man sprawling. Don't worry, the voice says through her mouth, and she can hear the smile in it. This will all be over soon. And then, Mara, then you'll finally understand what it means to be free. Chapter 2. The War Inside. Mara is screaming, but no sound comes out. She's trapped behind her own eyes, watching her hands do things she would never do, hearing her voice say things she would never say. The chaplain is on the floor, blood running from his nose, and she wants to help him, wants to stop this, but her body won't listen. It belongs to something else now. Something that's learning how to use it, experimenting with her limbs like a child playing with a new toy. Her hand flexes, fingers curling and uncurling. The movement feels wrong, too precise, too controlled. Then her body stands and the motion is fluid in a way it never was before. All the exhaustion is gone. All the pain from 7 years of factory work has vanished. She feels strong, energized, capable. And that makes it so much worse. Because this is what the demon promised. This is the relief from suffering it offered. And it's real. She can't deny that it's real, you see, the demon says. And its voice resonates in her skull, in her chest, in every cell of her body. I told you I could help. Look how good you feel now. No more tiredness. No more aching joints. No more waking up every morning wishing you hadn't. This is what you could have had if you'd just said yes willingly. But don't worry. You'll learn to appreciate it eventually. They all do. The chaplain is trying to crawl away, leaving a smear of blood on the chapel floor. Mara's body walks toward him with measured steps. She's fighting with everything she has, throwing her consciousness against the walls of her own skull, trying to force her way back into control. But it's like trying to move through solid stone. The demon is too strong, too practiced at this. How many bodies has it worn before hers? How many other Maras have fought this same losing battle? Please, the chaplain gasps. And there's no judgment in his eyes, only pity. Fight it, child. The Emperor gives strength to those who... The Emperor gives nothing. The demon interrupts, using Mara's voice but changing it somehow, making it sound layered, multiple voices speaking at once. He takes. He demands. He consumes his children in an endless war that serves only his own glorification. But we can discuss theology later, old man. Right now I'm busy getting acquainted with my new home. Mara's hand reaches down and grabs the chaplain's robe, hauling him up with strength she never possessed. She watches in horror as her fingers tighten around his throat. No. No. She won't be party to murder. She won't let this thing use her to kill a man who only tried to help. She fights harder, pushing against the demon's control, and for just a second, just the briefest instant, her fingers loosen. The chaplain gasps, hope flaring in his eyes. Then the demon slams her consciousness down with such force that everything goes white. Pain explodes through her mind, not physical pain, but something worse. Something that feels like her very self is being torn apart. Don't, the demon hisses, and now it sounds angry. Don't ever do that again. This body is mine now. You're just a guest, an unwelcome one at that. But I'll let you watch. I'll let you see everything I do with your meat. That's your punishment for resisting. The fingers tighten again. The chaplain's face turns red, then purple. Mara is screaming inside her own head, a soundless wail of despair that echoes in the prison of her skull. She can feel his pulse through her fingers, feel it slowing, weakening. She can see his eyes losing focus, the light fading from them, and there's nothing she can do. Nothing except watch and scream and hate herself for being too weak to stop this. The chaplain goes limp. Mara's body drops him carelessly, his corpse hitting the floor with a sound that will haunt her forever. If she survives this, if survival even means anything when you're a prisoner in your own flesh. The demon flexes her hands again, studying the blood on them with what feels like scientific interest. Fascinating, it murmurs. The human form is so fragile, so easy to break. I've worn warriors before, soldiers whose bodies were honed for killing. This is different. This body is weak, damaged by years of malnutrition and overwork. But it will serve. With a few modifications, it will serve beautifully. Modifications. The word sends ice through what's left of Mara's consciousness. What does that mean? What is it going to do to her body? She tries to ask, but she has no voice anymore. The demon ignored her attempts to communicate as easily as someone ignores a fly buzzing against a window. She's nothing to it. Less than nothing. Just the previous owner of the flesh it now controls. Her body leaves the chapel, stepping over the chaplain's corpse without a second glance. The corridor outside is empty, but that won't last. Someone will find the body. Someone will sound the alarm. The manufacturer will go into lockdown and she'll be hunted. Except it won't be her they're hunting. It will be the thing wearing her skin. And when they catch it, When they finally put a bullet in her brain or burn her body to ash, she'll still be in here. Still aware, still conscious as she dies. Don't be so dramatic, the demon says, responding to thoughts she didn't voice. I'm not going to let this body get destroyed. Not yet. I have plans for it. For you. Do you want to know what they are? Or would you prefer to be surprised? Mara doesn't answer. Can't answer. But the demon laughs anyway. A sound that uses her vocal cords in ways they weren't meant to be used. I'll tell you anyway. You see, Mara, you're perfect for what I need. Not special, not important, not talented. Just another worker in an endless sea of workers. Nobody notices you. Nobody remembers your face. You could walk through this entire manufactorum and not a single person would look twice. That kind of anonymity is valuable. Very valuable. The body walks through corridors Mara has walked thousands of times, but everything looks different now. Sharper. More vivid. Colors she never noticed before seem to jump out at her. The rust stains on the walls form patterns that her mind tries to read as symbols. The shadows move wrong, deeper than they should be, hiding things that shouldn't exist. Is this how the demon sees the world? Or is it changing her perception? Rewiring her brain to process reality differently? Both. The demon answers her unspoken question. Your eyes are the same, but I'm teaching you to see what's really there. The material world is just a thin skin stretched over something much more interesting. The warp bleeds through everywhere if you know how to look. And you're going to learn how to look, Mara. You're going to learn so many things. They pass a group of workers heading toward the night shift. Mara recognizes some of them. People she's worked beside for years. The demon makes her body smile at them, a normal, tired smile that says everything is fine. They smile back, unseeing, unknowing. One of them is about to ask her something, probably where she's going this late, but the demon does something with her face. Some subtle shift in expression that makes the question die unasked. The workers move on and Mara wants to sob with frustration. They were right there. Right there. And they didn't see anything wrong? That's because there's nothing to see, the demon explains patiently. I'm not some crude beast that tears reality apart just by existing. I'm subtle, refined. I've been doing this since before your species learned to make fire. I know how to wear a human face, how to move like you move, how to speak like you speak. By the time anyone realizes something is wrong, I'll have already accomplished what I came here to do. What did you come here to do? Mara tries to project the thought as loudly as she can, tries to make it heard through whatever barrier separates her consciousness from control of her body. The demon actually pauses, considering. Then it laughs again, that wrong, multi-layered sound. You really want to know? Fine, I'll tell you. I came here to spread. One body isn't enough. One host is just the beginning. This manufactorum has 50,000 workers, Mara. 50,000 tired, desperate, worn-down souls who are all one bad day away from making the same choice you made. Well, almost made. And with your body I can reach them. I can show them what I showed you. I can offer them the same relief, the same escape. And some of them will say yes. And those yeses will become more bodies, more hosts, more voices whispering to more workers. Do you understand? By the time the Imperium realizes what's happening here, this entire manufactorum will be mine. The horror of it crashes over Mara like a physical wave. 50,000 people. 50,000 souls condemned to the same prison she's in now. 50,000 bodies turned into puppets for things that should never exist in reality. And it will be her fault. Her body that spreads this plague. Her face that they'll see when corruption comes calling. She'll be remembered not as Mara the factory worker, but as Mara the demon host. Mara the corrupter. Mara whose weakness damned an entire world. Now you're starting to understand, the demon purrs. Now you're beginning to grasp the magnitude of your failure. You could have resisted. You could have stayed strong. But you were too tired, too weak, too hungry for something better. And that one moment of weakness, that single crack in your faith, was all I needed. So thank you, Mara. Thank you for being exactly as pathetic as I hoped you would be. The words cut deeper than any blade. Because they're true. This is her fault. She let the demon in. Not with a conscious choice maybe, but with doubt, with despair, with the slow erosion of faith that came from too many years of suffering without relief. She gave up. And now everyone around her will pay the price for her weakness. Her body arrives at a section of the manufactorum she's never been to before. The maintenance levels. Deep in the structure's guts where only tech priests and servitors usually go. The air here is hotter. Thick with the smell of machine oil and ozone. Pipes run along the walls and ceiling like metal veins, carrying coolant and promethium to the reactors that power this entire complex. The lighting is worse here, just dim red emergency lumens that cast everything in shades of blood. The demon navigates these corridors with confidence, like it already knows where it's going. How is that possible? Mara has never been down here. The memories it's using to navigate can't be hers, unless it can see through walls, sense the layout of the structure through some warp sense she doesn't understand. Or maybe it's been here before in another body, another victim, preparing this place for what comes next. They enter a chamber that might have been a storage room once. Now it's something else. The walls are covered in symbols that hurt to look at. Geometric patterns that seem to shift and writhe when she's not looking directly at them. Someone has been working here for a while preparing this space. Candles burn in arrangements that make no sense. Their flames casting shadows that move independently of any light source. And in the center of the room, drawn in what looks like dried blood, is a circle. An intricate mandala of shapes and sigils that makes Mara's mind itch just looking at it. Home sweet home, the demon says cheerfully. Well, not home exactly. More like a workplace. This is where the real work begins. Mara's body kneels at the edge of the circle. The demon extends her hands, pressing her palms against the symbols. The moment skin makes contact, Mara feels something like electricity surge through her nervous system. Not painful, but intense, overwhelming. The symbols begin to glow with a faint purple light that pulses in rhythm with her heartbeat. No, not her heartbeat. The demon's heartbeat. The thing has synced her body's rhythms to its own alien pulse. You're probably wondering what I'm doing, the demon says conversationally. Let me explain. This circle is a beacon, a lighthouse in the warp calling to others like me. Your manufacturum's Geller fields are weak here, degraded by centuries of poor maintenance. The barrier between reality and the immaterium is thin as tissue paper. With the right ritual, with the right sacrifice, I can tear that tissue even thinner. I can make this place a gateway. And once the gateway is open, my kin will pour through. Dozens of us. Hundreds maybe. Each one seeking a host among your fellow workers. No. No, this can't happen. Mara throws herself against the demon's control with renewed desperation. She has to stop this. Has to warn someone, anyone. Has to find some way to disrupt the ritual or destroy her own body before this gateway opens. She focuses every scrap of willpower she has left on a single goal. Moving her hand, just one finger, just enough to smudge one of the symbols in the circle. That might be enough to break whatever this is. For a moment, nothing happens. Then her index finger twitches. Just barely. Just the smallest movement, but it's movement she caused. The demon notices immediately, and Mara feels its attention turn inward, focusing on her like a searchlight. Still fighting? How tedious. I thought we'd established who's in control here. The pain comes without warning, so intense that if she had control of her voice, she would be screaming. It's not physical pain, nothing so simple. It's like the demon is taking apart her consciousness piece by piece, examining each fragment, then putting it back together wrong. Memories surface randomly, out of order, mixed together. She's 7 years old, and it's her first day in the manufactorum, and the shift bell is ringing, and her mother is dying, and she's standing at the Assembly line and the chaplain's blood is on her hands and she's 7 years old and— "Stop," the demon says. And suddenly everything snaps back into focus. Mara is gasping, or would be if she controlled her lungs. "You need to learn your place. You are a passenger, a ghost haunting your own corpse. The sooner you accept that, the easier this will be for both of us." But Mara can't accept it. Won't accept it, even knowing it's futile. Even knowing the demon can inflict that agony whenever it wants, she can't just surrender. Can't just watch while this thing uses her body to damn an entire world. She gathers what's left of her will and pushes again, not trying to take control, just trying to make noise. Trying to be annoying enough that maybe the demon will make a mistake. The demon sighs with her lungs. "You're going to be difficult, aren't you? Fine, let me show you something. Maybe it will help you understand the futility of resistance." The world lurches sideways. Suddenly Mara isn't looking through her own eyes anymore. She's somewhere else. Somewhere that isn't quite real. A space that exists between thoughts. And there, laid out like a map, she can see her own mind. Every memory, every experience, every secret thought she's ever had. All of it exposed and accessible. The demon is there too. Not a separate entity, but woven through everything like poison through water. It's not possessing her body from the outside. It's integrated with her, merged at a level so fundamental that trying to separate them would be like trying to unscramble an egg. "Do you see now?" the demon asks, and its voice comes from everywhere and nowhere. "You think of this as an invasion, as something foreign infecting what was pure. But that's not how it works. I'm not in your body, Mara. I am your body. We're the same thing now. Sharing the same space, the same flesh, the same neural pathways. The only difference is that I'm stronger, more experienced, better at controlling the meat we share. But we're both here. We'll always both be here, until this body dies, and even then I'll just find another host while you finally cease to exist." The vision ends, and Mara is back behind her own eyes, back in the prison of her skull. But something has changed. The demon showed her that landscape of her own mind to prove a point, but it also revealed something the demon might not have intended. She saw the connections, the way the demon's consciousness is threaded through hers, and if they're really as integrated as it claims, then maybe the connection goes both ways. Maybe she can't control her body, but maybe she can affect the demon controlling it. It's a desperate hope, probably futile, but it's all she has. So Mara does something the demon won't expect. She stops fighting, stops throwing herself against the walls of her prison. Instead, she goes quiet, still, watching, learning. The demon continues its work with the ritual circle, whispering words in a language that shouldn't exist, that makes reality shudder around them. And while it's focused on that, Mara explores the mental landscape she was shown. Her consciousness is weak, almost broken, but it's still there, still aware. And awareness is a kind of power, isn't it? She can feel the demon's thoughts now that she's not fighting, can sense its intentions, its memories. Images flood through her that aren't hers. Other worlds, other bodies, other victims. Centuries of existence, maybe millennia, spent moving from host to host, spreading corruption like a disease. The demon has done this before, many times, and every time the host fought at first, then eventually surrendered or went mad from the strain of imprisonment. But buried in those memories, Mara finds something else. Moments of weakness, times when hosts nearly broke free, nearly disrupted the demon's plans. It's rare, maybe 1 in 100 manage it and they never fully reclaim their bodies, but they create moments of vulnerability, gaps in the demon's control that last only seconds but can be enough to ruin carefully laid plans. The ritual is nearing completion. The circle glows brighter now, purple light pulsing faster, matching the rhythm of her racing heart. The demon is chanting continuously, its words building toward something, some crescendo that will tear reality open and let its kindred through. Mara can feel the pressure building, the barrier between worlds growing thinner with each syllable. She has minutes at most, maybe only seconds. She focuses on a single memory, one the demon showed her by accident. A host in a different body, a different century, who waited until the crucial moment of a ritual and then forced his hand to move, just enough to disrupt the pattern. The demon had punished him terribly for it afterward, but the ritual failed. The gateway didn't open, and the host died knowing he'd at least accomplished that much. Mara starts gathering her will, her intention, focusing it all on a single point. Not her whole hand, that's too ambitious. Just one finger. The same finger she managed to twitch before. She visualizes it moving, dragging through the circle, smudging the symbols. She builds the intention slowly, carefully, trying to keep it hidden from the demon's attention while it's focused on the ritual's climax. The chanting grows faster, more urgent. The air in the chamber feels wrong, thick and electric, like reality is holding its breath. Purple light fills the space until Mara can barely see anything else. The demon raises her arms and she can feel its triumph, its certainty that this is working, that the gateway is about to open, that dozens of its kindred are about to flood into this world wearing the faces of factory workers, who'll never know what hit them. Now, if she's going to act, it has to be now. Mara throws everything she has left, every scrap of will, every fragment of consciousness, into that single finger. Move. 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 For one eternal second, nothing happens. The demon's control is absolute, unbreakable. She's too weak, too damaged, too far gone. This was always going to fail. Then her finger moves, just half an inch, but it's enough. The tip of her finger drags through the edge of the circle, smudging a critical symbol, breaking the perfect geometry. The purple light flickers. The pressure in the air wavers, and the demon's chanting stutters just for a heartbeat as it realizes what just happened. The backlash is immediate and catastrophic. The ritual doesn't just fail, it collapses inward. All that gathered energy seeking an outlet and finding only one available, Mara's body. Purple lightning arcs through her nervous system, setting every nerve ending on fire. She would be screaming if she had control of her voice. The demon is screaming, its mental howl of rage and pain echoing through the space they share. For a few precious seconds, the agony is so overwhelming that neither of them has control. The body just convulses on the floor, muscles spasming, fingers clawing at stone. When the pain finally recedes to something almost bearable, Mara finds herself still trapped in her own head. But something has changed. The demon's grip on her body has loosened. Not broken, not even close, but weakened. She can feel it struggling to reassert control, to push past the damage the ritual's failure caused. And in that moment of weakness, Mara does the only thing she can think of. She screams, not with her voice. She doesn't have that. But she screams with everything else, throwing her consciousness outward as hard as she can, trying to make herself felt by anyone. Anything that might sense something wrong. It's probably useless. Probably no one can hear a psychic scream from someone who's never had any psychic ability. But she screams anyway because it's all she has left. The demon regains control faster than she hoped. Its consciousness slams back into dominance, shoving her back into the corner of her own mind with such force that her awareness nearly fragments. You, it hisses, and the rage in its voice makes the earlier pain seem gentle by comparison. You deliberately sabotaged me. You knew what would happen and you did it anyway. Mara doesn't respond. Can't respond. But inside she feels something that might be triumph. Small, bitter, probably pointless, but triumph nonetheless. She stopped the ritual. However briefly, however uselessly, she fought back and she won. The gateway didn't open. The other demons didn't come through. 50,000 workers are still themselves, at least for now. Do you have any idea what you've done? The demon forces her body to stand. Though the movements are jerky, uncoordinated, the ritual's backlash hurt it more than it's willing to admit. That was months of preparation, months of carefully weakening the barriers, of laying groundwork, of setting up the perfect conditions. And you destroyed it for what? A few more hours of these workers remaining ignorant? A temporary delay in the inevitable? Yes, Mara thinks, throwing the thought at the demon as hard as she can. Yes, it was worth it. Every hour you're delayed is another hour they're free. Another hour they're themselves. I'll sabotage you again if I can. I'll fight you every moment of every day until this body dies or you leave it. The demon laughs, but there's less confidence in it now. Brave words from someone who just experienced what happens when you cross me. But fine, you want to fight? We'll fight. I'll show you what it means to truly resist me. I'll make you watch as I take your body to the surface. I'll make you see as I infect your fellow workers one by one. Slower now without the ritual, but just as thoroughly. Every corruption will be on your hands, Mara. Every soul I claim will be because you weren't strong enough to truly stop me. The body staggers toward the chamber's exit, leaving the ruined ritual circle behind. Mara can feel the demon's intention forming, its new plan taking shape. Without the ritual, it will have to do this the old-fashioned way. Direct contact, personal corruption, spreading from host to host through whispers and promises and the slow erosion of faith. It will take longer, but the demon has time. It's patient. And now it's also angry, which makes it dangerous in ways it wasn't before. They're climbing back through the maintenance levels when Mara feels something new, a presence faint and distant but definitely there. Someone heard her scream. Someone is coming. The demon feels it too, and its control over her body tightens, preparing for confrontation. They emerge into a main corridor just as a figure rounds the corner ahead. It's a man in armor. Not the standard manufactorum security, but something else. Power armor. Ancient and battle-scarred, painted in colors that Mara doesn't recognize. Gray and red with symbols she's seen in prohibited texts, warnings against heresy. An inquisitor? No, the armor's wrong for that. The man inside is young, his face hard with determination, and his eyes see too much. They lock onto Mara's body and she sees recognition there. Understanding of what he's looking at. Demon, he says, and his voice carries absolute certainty. Release that woman and return to the warp, or I will cast you out by force. The demon laughs with Mara's throat. Bold words, boy. But you're alone, far from any support, and I'm quite comfortable where I am. This body suits me. I think I'll keep it. The man doesn't respond. He just raises his hand and Mara sees something in his palm. A symbol carved into his own flesh, glowing with golden light. The demon recoils, actually taking a step backward, and Mara feels something she hasn't felt from it before. Fear. Real fear. Last chance, the man says. Leave willingly or be torn out. The demon turns her body and runs. Just bolts down the corridor in the opposite direction, moving faster than any normal human could. Enhanced by whatever warp strength it commands. But the man is faster. He catches up in seconds, his armored hand closing around Mara's wrist with crushing force. The demon tries to pull free, but the golden light from that carved symbol is spreading, burning through the connection between demon and flesh. Mara feels herself being pulled forward, toward the surface of her own consciousness. The demon is being forced back. Not destroyed, but definitely hurt. Definitely loosening its grip to protect itself from that burning light. And in the space created by its retreat, Mara finds something she thought she'd lost. Her voice. Help! She gasps. And the word is barely a whisper, but it's hers. Controlled by her. Spoken through her own lips. Please help me! The man's eyes widen with something that might be hope. She's still in there. She's still fighting. He presses his palm, the one with the carved symbol, against Mara's forehead. The burning intensifies, agony and relief mixed into something Mara can't describe. "Hold on," he tells her. "Just hold on a little longer. I can't cast it out completely, not without killing you both, but I can weaken it. Give you a chance to fight back." The demon is screaming now, thrashing against the golden light, trying to dive deeper into Mara's body where the burning can't reach. But Mara meets it there, blocking its retreat, using what little strength she has to trap it near the surface where the light can continue its work. They're locked together, predator and prey, both struggling, both desperate, neither able to gain final advantage. "That's it," the man encourages. "Keep it pinned. Don't let it hide." The light grows brighter, hotter, more painful. Mara is burning. The demon is burning. The flesh they share is burning. But she holds on because this might be her only chance. Her only hope of ever reclaiming even a fraction of what was stolen from her. The demon breaks first. With a psychic shriek that sounds in dimensions beyond normal hearing, it tears itself free from Mara's body and flees back into the warp, leaving behind nothing but echoes and corruption. Mara collapses, would hit the floor if the man wasn't holding her up. She has her body back. After hours of imprisonment, she's herself again. But she can immediately feel that something is wrong. The demon might be gone, but it left pieces behind, fragments of itself embedded in her consciousness like broken glass. And those fragments are hungry, whispering, promising to grow into something just as terrible if given time. "Thank you," she manages to say, and tears are streaming down her face. "Thank you for saving me." The man's expression is sad, knowing. "I didn't save you," he says quietly. "I bought you time. Maybe a day, maybe a week. But the corruption is too deep. The demon marked you. Others will be drawn to that mark. And eventually one of them will finish what this one started." He helps her to a sitting position against the wall. "I'm sorry. If I'd arrived sooner, if I'd found you before possession occurred, maybe things would be different." Mara laughs, and the sound is broken, half mad. "So what now? You kill me before the next demon comes?" "That's one option," he admits. "Probably the kindest one. But there's another possibility. Come with me. Let me take you somewhere where people understand what you're going through, where they might be able to help you fight what's coming. It's not a cure. There is no cure, but it's a chance to make your damnation mean something, to use what's left of your life to help others avoid your fate." She should say no, should ask him to end this now, quickly, before the whispers that are already starting in the back of her mind grow louder. But the part of her that fought the demon, that sabotaged its ritual, that refused to give up even when giving up would have been easier, that part speaks first. "Yes," she says. "Yes. Whatever time I have left, I want to use it. I want to fight back." The man nods, respect showing in his eyes. "Then we need to move. This manufactorum is compromised. More demons will come, drawn by the failed ritual, by the weakness in the barriers. And when they arrive, we need to be long gone." He pulls her to her feet. "My name is Marcus. I hunt demons and try to save their victims when I can. Welcome to the worst decision you'll ever make." Mara takes a shaky breath, feeling the fragments of demon consciousness stirring in her mind, feeling the wrongness that will never fully leave her. But she also feels something else. Purpose, direction, a reason to keep going beyond mere survival. "My name is Mara," she says, "and I'm ready to fight." They disappear into the manufactorum's depths, leaving behind the ruined ritual chamber, the chaplain's body in the chapel, and the 50,000 workers who will never know how close they came to damnation. Mara's war with the demon isn't over. It's only just begun. But now she's not fighting alone. Chapter 3. The body changes. The transport ship is small, cramped, and smells like recycled air that's been recycled too many times. Mara sits in what Marcus calls the medical bay, though it's really just a corner of the cargo hold with a cot and some basic equipment. She's been here for 3 days now. 3 days since they escaped the manufactorum through maintenance tunnels she didn't know existed. 3 days since Marcus killed the security team that tried to stop them, moving with a speed and precision that made it clear he was far more than just a demon hunter. 3 days since she last felt like herself. The changes started small. The first night on the ship, she woke to find her fingernails had grown half an inch while she slept. Not gradually over hours, but all at once. Like her body had fast-forwarded through weeks of growth in minutes. She cut them, hands shaking, dropping the clippings into the incinerator Marcus installed for exactly this purpose. By morning, they'd grown back. Longer this time. Sharper. She stopped trying to cut them after that. The second day, her eyes changed color. She'd had brown eyes her entire life. The same muddy brown as her mother's, as her grandmother's. Now they're violet, a shade that doesn't exist in normal human genetics. When she looks in the mirror, which she's trying to avoid doing, she sees a stranger staring back. Someone who looks like Mara but isn't. Not entirely. Not anymore. The violet eyes catch light wrong, reflecting it back with a faint luminescence that makes them glow slightly in darkness. Today, the third day, she woke up tasting copper. Not blood, though she checked her mouth thoroughly for cuts or injuries. Just the constant taste of metal on her tongue. Like she's been licking coins. Marcus says it's a common symptom of warp corruption. The body trying to process energies it was never designed to handle. The sensory systems misfiring as reality and unreality blend together in her flesh. He says it will get worse. They always get worse. She's sitting on the cot now, staring at her hands. The fingernails are definitely sharper than they were this morning. Sharp enough to cut, to tear. She watches them grow in real time if she focuses. Can actually see the keratin pushing out from beneath the skin. It should be impossible. It is impossible. But impossible seems to mean less and less as the days pass. The fragments of demon consciousness that Marcus's ritual couldn't burn out are still there. Still active. Still trying to finish what the original possession started. They don't have enough strength to control her body, not like before, but they have enough to change it. Marcus enters the medical bay carrying 2 ration packs and a data slate. He's removed his armor, showing the scarred body underneath. Burns blade wounds, what looks like claw marks across his ribs. Every mark tells a story of survival against things that shouldn't exist. He hands her one of the ration packs without comment, settling onto a supply crate across from her cot. "How are you feeling?" he asks, and the question would be absurd if it wasn't so genuine. He actually wants to know, actually cares about the answer in a way no one has cared about anything Mara said in years. "Like I'm rotting from the inside out," she answers honestly. "Like something is eating me piece by piece and replacing what it takes with something else. How long until I'm not me anymore?" "Until there's nothing left but the corruption?" Marcus studies her with those 2 knowing eyes. "That depends on how strong you are. I've seen people last months before the changes overwhelm them. I've seen others fall in days. The fragments will try to rebuild what I destroyed. Try to establish a new demon presence using your body as raw material. Your job is to resist them. Every day you stay yourself is a victory. And when I can't resist anymore, when the fragments finally win, he doesn't look away, doesn't soften the truth. Then I'll do what needs to be done, quickly, painlessly if I can manage it. You'll never hurt anyone else, Mara, I promise you that much." The promise should terrify her. Instead, it's almost comforting. At least someone will be watching. Someone who knows what to look for, someone who won't hesitate when the time comes. She tears open the ration pack, forcing herself to eat even though food has started tasting wrong too. Everything tastes like copper now, like ashes, like things that shouldn't have flavor. "Tell me about the others," she says between bites. The ones you've tried to save before. What happened to them? Marcus sets down his ration pack untouched. For a long moment he just looks at the data slate in his hands, and Mara wonders if he's going to answer at all. Then he starts talking, his voice flat, reciting facts like reading from a report. There was a soldier named Kira, possessed during a warp transit when the Geller fields failed. I got the demon out, but she was already changing. Her bones started growing, pushing through her skin in places they shouldn't. She lasted 6 days before the pain became too much. She asked me to end it, and I did. He pauses, scrolling through the data slate, though Mara suspects he's not actually reading anything. A merchant named Torvald. The demon rode him for 2 weeks before I caught him. When I cast it out, he seemed fine at first, normal. Then his skin started falling off. Not rotting, just detaching. Like his body was shedding layers it didn't need anymore. Underneath was something that looked human but wasn't. He ran before I could stop him. I found what was left 3 months later. Or what had become of him. I won't describe it. A child, he continues, and now there's emotion in his voice, carefully controlled but definitely there. Couldn't have been more than 10 years old. Possessed by something that fed on innocence, on purity. I got it out, but the corruption had already rooted too deep. She started seeing things that weren't there, hearing voices, talking to people who didn't exist. Her parents begged me to save her. I tried. Emperor knows I tried every technique I'd learned, every ritual, every prayer. Nothing worked. In the end, she walked into a plasma furnace while her parents slept. Left a note saying the voices promised it wouldn't hurt. Mara sets down her ration pack, appetite completely gone. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked. Because you deserve to know what you're facing. Marcus finally looks up from the data slate. The demon fragments in your body are changing you, Mara. Physically, mentally, maybe spiritually, if such things exist. Most people in your position go through what I call the 3 stages. First stage is denial, trying to pretend nothing is wrong, that the changes are temporary, that everything will go back to normal. That lasts until the changes become too obvious to ignore. Second stage is bargaining, trying to find ways to slow the corruption, to manage it, to make deals with the fragments, to keep them from taking more. That usually ends badly because demon fragments don't make deals. They take what they want and promise whatever you need to hear. And the third stage is acceptance. Understanding that you're not going to win this, that the best you can do is choose how it ends. Most people reach stage 3 eventually. The question is whether they reach it while they're still human enough for the choice to matter. Which stage am I in? Mara asks, though she suspects she knows the answer. Somewhere between 1 and 2, Marcus says. You're still pretending this might somehow get better, while simultaneously trying to find ways to fight it. That's normal. Expected even. But I need you to start moving towards stage 3 faster than most. Because we don't have months, Mara. We probably don't even have weeks. The corruption in you is aggressive. Whatever that demon was, it marked you deeply. The changes are happening faster than I've seen before. As if to emphasize his point, Mara feels something shift in her jaw. A pressure, a sensation of bone moving under skin. She reaches up, touches her face, and feels her teeth through her cheek. They're longer than they were this morning. Sharper. Pushing outward against the inside of her mouth in ways that teeth shouldn't push. She makes a small sound of distress, can't help it, and Marcus is beside her immediately. Let me see, he says, and she opens her mouth. His expression darkens. Your canines are elongating, sharpening. It's a common mutation in those marked by demons of excess. They start changing you into something that can better serve their purposes, better experience the sensations they crave. He pulls a small metal case from his pocket, opens it to reveal a dozen syringes filled with luminescent blue liquid. This is suppressor serum. It won't stop the changes, but it might slow them. Buy you more time. Time for what? Mara asks, and she hates how her voice sounds. Desperate. Broken. Time to watch myself stop being human? Time to feel every part of me get replaced with something monstrous? Time to help others, Marcus says firmly. Time to use what's happening to you to prevent it from happening to someone else. You know what possession feels like now, Mara. You know the warning signs, the progression, the way demons think and operate. That knowledge is valuable. Rare. Most people who experience what you've experienced are dead or too far gone to communicate. You're still here. Still aware. Still able to fight. That makes you useful. The word useful cuts through Mara's spiral of despair. She's been useful before. Useful to the Manufactorum, useful to the Imperium's endless war machine. But this is different. This is choosing to be useful instead of having it demanded from her. This is taking the worst thing that's ever happened to her and weaponizing it against the things that did it. What do you need me to do? She asks. Marcus injects her with the suppressor serum. The liquid burns going in, cold fire spreading through her veins from the injection site. For a moment, everything sharpens, her vision clearing, the constant whispers in the back of her mind fading to almost nothing. Then the sensation passes, leaving behind only a dull ache and the knowledge that this relief is temporary. The serum buys her hours, maybe a day. Nothing more. We're heading to a station called Pilgrim's Rest, Marcus explains, packing away the medical supplies. It's a way station between major shipping lanes, the kind of place where people pass through but don't stay. Perfect breeding ground for corruption. Too many transient souls. Too many desperate people looking for something better. The station's had 3 suspected possession cases in the last month alone. The local authorities keep it quiet because if word spreads that the station is compromised, they'll lose traffic. Less traffic means less income. Less income means the station dies. So they pretend nothing is wrong and let the infection spread. And you want me to help identify the possessed? Mara asks, beginning to understand. More than that. I want you to be bait. Marcus's expression is apologetic but firm. The corruption in you calls to other demons, to other corrupted. They'll sense what you are, recognize the mark on your soul. They'll be drawn to you, want to recruit you or consume you or use you for whatever purposes their particular brand of madness demands. And when they reveal themselves, I'll be there to deal with them. Mara should be terrified, should refuse, should demand he find some other way that doesn't involve using her as a lure for the exact thing she's trying to escape. But underneath the fear is something else. Anger. Cold, focused rage at what was done to her, at the demon that stole her body, at the corruption that's still eating away at her humanity piece by piece. If she can use that corruption to hurt the things responsible, to prevent even one more person from experiencing what she's experienced, then maybe her damnation means something. Maybe she can be useful in ways that actually matter. How long do I have? She asks quietly. Before the changes make me too obvious, too dangerous? Marcus considers the question carefully. In a station like Pilgrim's Rest, where people are used to seeing the strange and desperate? Maybe a week if the serum works, less if it doesn't. Your eyes are already unusual but explainable. Colored contacts, genetic modification, any number of reasons. The teeth will be harder to hide once they finish growing. And if the physical mutations continue at their current rate. He trails off, but Mara can fill in the blanks. If the mutations continue, she'll stop looking human. And once that happens, she becomes exactly what everyone fears when they think about corruption. A monster wearing a person's face. Then we use the weak, Mara says, and is surprised by how steady her voice sounds. We find every possessed soul on that station. We stop them before they spread whatever they're carrying. And when my week is up, When I'm too far gone to be useful anymore, you do what you promised. Quick and clean. Marcus nods slowly. You understand what you're agreeing to? The possessed won't welcome you with open arms. Some might be hostile. Some might try to finish what the demon that marked you started. You'll be in constant danger from both the corrupted and the uncorrupted. And through all of it, you'll be fighting your own body as it tries to transform into something monstrous. I understand, Mara says and realizes she does. She understands that she's dying, that the person she was is already mostly gone, that every day from now until the end will be a battle she's destined to lose. But she also understands that losing slowly can sometimes achieve more than winning quickly. Every Daemon she helps Marcus identify is one less demon in the world. Every possessed individual they stop is dozens or hundreds of potential victims saved. Her death is inevitable, but it doesn't have to be meaningless. The transport ship shudders as it drops out of warp, reality reasserting itself around them with a jolt that Mara feels in her bones. Through the small viewport in the medical bay, she can see Pilgrim's Rest Station spinning slowly against the void. It's huge, a construct of metal and desperation that houses maybe 50,000 souls. From here, it looks almost beautiful, lights glittering against darkness like stars brought down to a manageable scale. But Mara knows better now. She knows that beauty can hide corruption, that normal can mask the monstrous, that anywhere humans gather in numbers, demons are waiting for opportunities. Get some rest, Marcus advises. We dock in 4 hours. Once we're on station, there won't be much time for sleep. The corrupted are most active during the station's night cycle, when fewer eyes are watching, when the tired and desperate are most vulnerable. That's when we'll do most of our hunting. Mara lies back on the cot, staring at the metal ceiling. Rest seems impossible when her body is actively changing, when she can feel new pains developing in her joints, her spine, places where bone is shifting to accommodate whatever she's becoming. But she closes her eyes anyway, trying to find some small measure of peace before the real work begins. The whispers in her mind have returned despite the serum, quiet but persistent. They're not coherent thoughts, not yet. Just fragments, impressions, the psychic equivalent of static. But she knows they'll grow clearer as the corruption advances. Eventually, they'll start sounding like real voices again. And when that happens, she'll know she's running out of time. Sleep doesn't come, but something like it does. A state between waking and dreaming where time passes strangely, and her mind drifts through memories that might not all be hers. She sees the manufactorum floor, but it's overlaid with other places, other factories on other worlds. She sees faces she recognizes and faces she doesn't, all wearing the same expression of exhaustion, the same defeat. The demon fragments in her mind are trying to share their memories with her, trying to show her the scope of what they've done, the countless souls they've touched across centuries of existence. She sees a woman in merchant's clothes standing at a railing, staring down at traffic below while the demon whispers about how easy it would be to jump. She sees a soldier cleaning his weapon, and the demon is there too, suggesting new uses for the blade, creative ways to use it on flesh that isn't enemy flesh. She sees a child hiding in shadows while adults argue nearby, and the demon offers comfort, promises of safety, all the things a frightened child wants to hear. Each memory is a seduction, a corruption, a small victory for the forces of chaos. And underlying all of it is a sense of purpose that makes Mara's stomach turn. The demon doesn't spread corruption out of malice or mindless hunger. It does it because it believes it's helping, believes it's offering something valuable to creatures trapped in lives of suffering and monotony. Every person it touches, it thinks it's freeing them from the prison of mortal existence. It thinks it's doing them a favor. The realization is somehow worse than if the demon had been simply evil. Evil she could understand, could fight against with clear conscience. But this twisted benevolence, this genuine belief that corruption is liberation, this makes the enemy harder to hate, makes it harder to maintain the clear moral lines that say this is wrong, this must be stopped, this cannot be allowed to continue. The demon fragments want her to understand, want her to see their perspective, want her to eventually agree that what was done to her was actually a gift. She wakes with a gasp. Mark is shaking her shoulder. "We've docked," he says. "And you were dreaming. Talking in your sleep. Languages that shouldn't exist." His expression is concerned but not surprised. "The fragments are trying to communicate with you more actively now. That's expected. They'll attempt to convince you that corruption is desirable, that transformation is ascension. You need to reject those thoughts as soon as they form. Don't engage with the logic, don't try to argue. Just shut them down and refocus on reality." Mara nods, pushing herself upright. Her body aches in new ways, joints grinding where they should, move smoothly. Muscles pulling against bone structures that have shifted during her sleep. She catches sight of herself in a reflective surface and barely recognizes what she sees. The violet eyes are brighter now, definitely glowing. Her face has sharpened somehow, cheekbones more pronounced, features more angular. She's starting to look beautiful in a way that's distinctly inhuman, the kind of beauty that draws attention and unease in equal measure. "Here." Marcus hands her a hooded cloak, the kind spacers wear in cold sections of stations. "Keep the hood up. Don't make eye contact with station security. We're here on forged documents that will stand up to casual inspection but not serious scrutiny. As far as anyone knows, you're my assistant, traveling with me on merchant business. The station authorities don't need to know what we're really doing here." They exit the ship into Pilgrim's Rest's docking bay, and immediately Mara is hit by the smell. Unwashed bodies, recycled air, cooking food, machine oil, all blending into the distinctive scent of humanity packed too tightly into metal spaces. The bay is crowded with ships of every size and description, crews loading and unloading cargo, passengers hurrying toward transport tubes that will take them deeper into the station. Everyone is moving with purpose, no one stopping to notice two more travelers in a sea of transients. Marcus leads her through the crowd with practiced ease, navigating toward a bank of elevators that service the station's habitation levels. As they walk, Mara becomes aware of a new sensation. A pull, faint but distinct, like a compass needle seeking north. It tugs at something in her chest, draws her attention toward specific directions, specific people. She realizes with cold certainty that this is the corruption calling to other corruption. She can sense the possessed now, can feel their presence like cold spots in a warm room. "There," she says quietly, nodding toward a man standing near a cargo loader. He looks normal, unremarkable, just another dock worker in stained coveralls. But Mara can feel the wrongness radiating from him like heat from a fire. He's carrying something. Marcus follows her gaze, his expression sharpening. "You're sure?" "I'm sure." And she is. The sensation is unmistakable now that she knows what she's feeling. The man is possessed, or hosting something, or has been touched by corruption in some fundamental way. Whatever he is, he's not entirely human anymore. "Good," Marcus says. "That's our first target, but not here. Too many witnesses, too much risk of collateral damage. We follow him, Wait for an opportunity. Then we find out what he's carrying and why. He adjusts the pack on his shoulder, and Mara knows without asking that it contains weapons, ritual supplies, everything needed to deal with a demon threat quickly and efficiently. This is what you signed up for, Mara. Last chance to back out. She thinks about it for exactly 1 second. Then she pulls her hood lower and nods toward the dock worker. Let's go hunting. They follow the dock worker through 3 levels of Pilgrim's Rest Station, always staying far enough back to avoid suspicion, but close enough that Mara can maintain the sense of his corruption. The pull is constant now, a thread connecting her twisted soul to his, invisible but undeniable. Marcus moves through the crowds with the ease of someone who's done this 100 times, always knowing which corridors to take, which crowds to blend into, which corners to turn to stay out of sight. Mara struggles to keep up, her changing body moving with a grace she never possessed before, but also with unfamiliar rhythms that make her feel like she's piloting someone else's flesh. The dock worker leads them to the habitation sectors, the endless corridors of cramped living spaces where station residents sleep in shifts, sharing rooms with strangers, living lives measured in work cycles and ration tokens. He enters a unit near the end of a particularly run-down corridor, the door sliding shut behind him with a hiss of hydraulics. Marcus pulls Mara into a maintenance alcove across from the unit, his hand on her shoulder firm and steadying. "Tell me what you feel," he says quietly. Not just that he's corrupted, details. What kind of corruption? How deep? Is he possessed or just touched? Mara closes her eyes, focusing on the pull. It's easier with her eyes closed, less distraction from the physical world. She reaches out, with whatever sense the corruption has given her, pushing awareness toward the dock workers unit. What comes back makes her skin crawl. "He's possessed," she says with certainty. "But it's not like what happened to me. This is older, more established. The demon and the host have merged, become something that's both and neither. I don't think there's any original consciousness left. Just the demon wearing a human shape." "How many others?" Marcus asks. "Because apparently there are others." Mara pushes her awareness further into the unit and feels them. Cold spots, wrongness, corruption in various stages. 4 more inside, maybe 5. It's hard to tell because some of them are blending together, their individual presences merging into something larger. Her eyes snap open. "Marcus, I think they're performing a ritual. The same kind the demon tried to use me for. They're trying to open a gateway." Marcus curses, short and vicious. "How long do we have?" "I don't know. Hours, maybe?" The ritual feels incomplete. They're waiting for something, or someone. Then she feels it. Another pull. This one coming from a different direction entirely. Multiple sources of corruption converging on this location from different parts of the station. They're not waiting for something. They're waiting for someone's. More possessed are coming. This is a gathering. Then we can't wait. Marcus pulls equipment from his pack. Frag grenades, a flamer, ammunition for the bolt pistol at his hip. "I'm going in hard and fast. Kill everything that moves and hope we can disrupt the ritual before it completes. You stay here. If anything comes out that isn't me, you run. Don't fight. Don't try to be heroic. Just run and hide until I find you." "No," Mara says, and the word surprises both of them. "You need someone watching your back. Someone who can sense if more corrupted approach while you're dealing with the ones inside." "I can do that, I can help." "Mara, you're not a fighter. You're barely holding yourself together. If you go in there, if you're exposed to that much concentrated corruption, it could accelerate what's happening to you. Could push you over the edge into full transformation. Then it pushes me over the edge, she says, and means it. Better to die fighting than hiding in an alcove while the man who saved me risks his life. Besides, you said it yourself. I don't have long. A week at most. If this uses up some of her... That week, if it means we stop a gateway from opening, then it's worth it. Marcus studies her for a long moment. Then slowly he nods. Stay behind me. Don't touch anything you don't have to. And if I tell you to run, you run. Understood? Understood. They cross the corridor to the unit's door. Marcus places a small, explosive charge on the lock, steps back and triggers it. The door explodes inward and they're moving before the smoke clears. Marcus leads with the flamer, a gout of burning promethium filling the entrance corridor of the unit. Screaming starts immediately, not human screaming but something else. Multiple voices layered over each other in harmonies that hurt to hear. The main room is exactly what Mara expected and somehow worse. 5 figures arranged in a circle, their bodies twisted by long-term possession into shapes that are only vaguely human. Extended limbs, too many joints, skin that ripples with colors that don't exist in normal light. The walls are covered in symbols drawn in substances Mara doesn't want to identify. And in the center of the circle, carved into the floor itself, is a gateway. Not open yet, but close, so close. Reality is thin there, almost transparent, showing glimpses of something beyond, something vast and terrible and hungry. Marcus opens fire, bolts of explosive ammunition tearing through possessed flesh. The figures scatter, moving with inhuman speed, climbing walls, leaping across ceiling supports, attacking from angles that shouldn't be possible. One of them reaches Marcus before he can turn. Claws extended, mouth opened far too wide. Mara doesn't think. She just moves, throwing herself between Marcus and the possessed, her own hands coming up to block. Her fingernails, sharp and elongated. From the corruption, meet the possessed's claws with a sound like metal on metal. The impact sends pain lancing up her arms, but she actually holds against something that should tear her apart. The possessed recoils, its multiple eyes widening with what might be surprise or recognition. It speaks, and the voice is layered, demon and host and something in between. Sister, it says, you carry our mark. Why do you fight us? Why do you resist the beautiful transformation? Because I choose to, Mara says, and drives her sharpened nails into its throat. Black ichor sprays across her hands, burning where it touches, but the possessed falls back, clutching at the wound. Marcus is there instantly, the flamer reducing the fallen creature to ash before it can regenerate. The other possessed respond with coordinated fury. They're not mindless, not even close. They move like a trained unit, supporting each other, covering angles, trying to separate Marcus from Mara. The room erupts into chaos, fire and bolt rounds, and the inhuman shrieking of things that shouldn't exist. Mara finds herself fighting beside Marcus, her transformed body moving with deadly grace, her sharpened nails finding vulnerable spots, her enhanced speed letting her dodge attacks that would have killed the old Mara instantly. And the worst part, the part that terrifies her even as she fights, is that she's good at this. The corruption has made her into a weapon, turned her body into something designed for violence. Every movement feels natural, instinctive, right in ways that normal movement never did. She's becoming what the demon wanted her to become. A creature of excess and violence, beautiful and terrible in equal measure. 2 more possessed fall to Marcus's weapons. The remaining 2 break for the door, abandoning the ritual, choosing survival over whatever they were trying to accomplish. Marcus starts to pursue, but Mara grabs his arm. "The gateway," she gasps. "It's still active, still pulling. If we don't close it, something will come through eventually." Marcus looks at the carved circle, at the thin place in reality that shows glimpses of the warp beyond. "I don't know how to close it. This kind of ritual requires a psyker, someone who can manipulate warp energies directly. I'm just a hunter. I kill demons, I can feel it," Mara interrupts. "The pull from the gateway is stronger than anything else, a massive draw on her corrupted soul. The fragments in me, they recognize this. They know how it works. I think I can close it." "Mara, that's warp energy. Direct exposure could—" "I know what it could do," she says. "But we don't have a choice. Either I try or we leave this gateway active and hope no one else finds it before proper authorities can be called. And we both know that's not an option." She walks to the circle before Marcus can stop her, kneels at its edge, places her hands on the symbols carved into the floor. The moment she makes contact, the world explodes with sensation. She's touching the warp itself, feeling the roiling chaos of unreality pressing against the thin barrier of the gateway. It's beautiful and horrible and overwhelming, and she can feel the demon fragments in her soul surging toward it, drawn like iron to a magnet. For a moment she thinks they're going to pull her through, drag her consciousness into the warp and leave her body as an empty shell. Then she understands. The fragments want to go home. They're pieces of something larger, broken off and trapped in her flesh. The gateway is their escape route. If she lets them go, if she releases them into the warp, they'll leave her. The corruption might stop. She might reclaim her humanity. All she has to do is let go. But letting them go means the gateway stays open, means other demons could use it, means the ritual the possessed were conducting could still work. The fragments are trying to trick her, offering false hope of salvation if she'll just stop fighting for one moment. And Mara, who's been fighting for 3 days straight, who's exhausted and scared and so tired of being a monster, almost falls for it. Almost. Instead, she does the opposite. She pulls, drags the fragments deeper into herself, forces them away from the gateway, uses their own energy against the ritual. The symbols under her hands begin to crack, the thin place in reality solidifying, becoming opaque. The pull weakens, fades, dies. The gateway closes with a sound like a universe exhaling. Mara collapses onto the floor, her hands smoking where they touch the symbols. Marcus is beside her immediately, checking for injuries, for signs of possession, for any indication that touching the warp directly has destroyed what's left of her mind. But she's still here. Still herself. Though herself is becoming an increasingly flexible concept. "It's closed," she manages to say. "The gateway's gone. But Marcus—" She holds up her hands, showing him what the ritual did. Her skin is darker now, shot through with purple veins that glow faintly. Her fingernails are fully claws now, black and sharp and definitely not human. "I think I just used up most of my week." Marcus helps her to her feet, his expression unreadable. "Then we make the days you have left count. Come on. We need to get out of here before station security shows up." "And Mara?" He waits until she meets his eyes. "You did good. Better than good. You saved lives today. Remember that when the corruption tries to tell you otherwise." They leave the unit, stepping over the ashes of the possessed, leaving behind the closed gateway and the evidence of their intervention. Mara's hands hurt, her whole body hurts, and she can feel the corruption accelerating inside her, the fragments angry at being denied their escape, taking their revenge on her flesh. But Marcus is right. She did good. And for right now, for this moment, that's enough.